SFUSD 22-23 Virtual Enrollment Fair. My name is Lauren Kohler, and I am the Interim Executive Director at the Educational Placement Center. That's the enrollment office for the school district in San Francisco. I am joined by my friend and colleague, Kate Moore, from Parents for Public Schools. That's a nonprofit that we work very closely with to make sure that we're sharing enrollment information. We're going to share some information today about how the enrollment process works for grades from transitional kindergarten and kindergarten all the way through high school. We'll make lots of time at the end for your questions. Before we begin, we are asking you to sign in. This helps us know how many people we've reached today, as well as provides us a way to contact you with follow-up information. So here you can see a bit.ly link as well as a QR code. Please use one of these to sign into the fair. To use the bit.ly link, you can copy the link and paste it into your browser.
I'm sorry, Ms. Caller, this is the interpreter. Can you pace yourself and also all the panelists to speak a little slower? It's very hard and challenging for us. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Louise. Sorry. So to sign into the fair, you can use the bit.ly link here, paste it into your browser. I think somebody from my team will also drop it into the chat. And then to use the QR code, you will hold up your phone with the camera open to look at the QR code, and then that will open a link which you can click on to go to the sign-in form. I'll leave this up for a few minutes so everybody can sign in. Great. So today I want to ground us in San Francisco Unified School District's mission. It's on the right here. Every day, we provide every student the quality instruction and equitable support required to thrive in the 21st century. On the right-hand side is what we do at the Educational Placement Center, the enrollment office for San Francisco. We help families have equitable access to learning environments where students thrive. Here's how we'll be spending our time together today. We'll spend about 20 minutes talking about the choice system in San Francisco. We'll focus on how to create a great list of schools, on the enrollment process itself, and on the student assignment system. Now I'm going to turn about the choice process in our district.
Hello there. Nice to see everyone. Lauren, your internet's a little bit wobbly, so I just warn you about that. It's making some of your speech a little hard to hear. I will go as slowly as I can. I'm not very good at talking slowly. Anyway, but I want to thank you all so much for coming along. Thank you to Lauren for your introduction, and welcome everyone. The Enrollment Fair is finally here, and it's exciting to have you join us on this journey with your children or your child. So thank you for coming. So this slide is about something that we know in our gut, and we at Parents for Public Schools will always say it's worth highlighting again that public education and public schools really do benefit us all. In San Francisco, our schools are diverse, and this diversity is proven to help us learn the skills we need in life, working with those who are different, seeing different points of view, understanding others. And we know that schools in San Francisco that welcome everyone, those that are a mixture of races and economic groups, really do make kids more employable. Universities and industry knows this, and that diverse public education creates the workforce that matches the real world of jobs and life in the 21st century. So, and the last point to make here is that the wonderful things that your tax dollars pay for in our public schools include modern resources and teachers for PE, libraries and librarians, arts instruction, and health supports. And I'll be talking a little bit more about that in the next slide, please. So just to be clear, as the title suggests, all San Francisco schools have programs that, as voters and citizens of this fine city, you support. We have amazing STEM and arts programs to feed our children's minds. We have library services to help them love books through their lives, and school nurses and social workers to help keep them safe and healthy. Next slide, please. So staying on the theme of what your family and your city gets from our public schools, we're going to talk about a few of the things that all schools have. So all SFUSD schools use a curriculum based on what are called Common Core standards. These are an agreed set of standards for achievement in English language arts, math and science. And if you want to delve into what SFUSD has got to offer and through its curriculum, you can go to their pages and search for SFUSD curriculum, and you'll find some interesting stuff there. We have got the most dedicated and excellent teachers in our public schools. In fact, as it says there, the most in any city district in California. So a national board certified teacher are those teachers that have taught successfully for at least 3 years with a valid credential. And that means they've met the highest standards of the profession in their certificate area. There are small class sizes from kindergarten to 3rd grade. You may not know this, but the maximum average class size is 22 students. In 4th and 5th grade, it may increase to 33, and some school sites choose to use some of their budget to keep class sizes lower throughout the elementary school. So the many options here is referring to the wide range of programs that SFUSD schools offer, and so that might be language immersion, world language classes. We've got a year-round school. We've got different sizes of schools. So there's schools that offer really intimate setting, and larger schools that might provide a much bigger variety of programs. And partnerships with organizations. One massive benefit that we have in public schools in San Francisco is that we have partnerships with arts organizations like the San Francisco Ballet, the Symphony, the Adventures in Music organization, all have programs that bring artists into schools and take students to performances. And I can attest that they are great fun to go with your student. Next slide, please. So now that you know a bit more about the wonderful things that are in all schools in the district, it's time to think about which ones to apply to. And in case you didn't know already, the SFUSD has the choice of schools are all yours, and that's a wonderful thing. But we recognise it can also be overwhelming. So, you know, I think it's time to be calm, and first of all, understand that there are many different options and many schools to look at. So it's time to do your research. We have 16 transitional kindergarten sites. We have 71 kindergarten to 5th grade sites, 8 kindergarten to 8th grade, that's elementary through middle school sites. We've got 15 middle schools and 14 comprehensive high schools. Next slide, please. So here are the 4 basic steps of the enrollment process. First is list making. You as the parent, guardian, and if you're looking at high school, it should definitely be the teenagers in your house as well, should be getting involved. You need to think about schools that meet your family's needs. And although it might be tough, it's important to rank these schools as well in the order of your family's preference. Next is the online application, where you'll submit your list of schools to the district, tell them which ones you like the most, and as I said, which order that you want to put them in. After that, it's up to the clever folks at the district and the computers that help them assign students to schools. And obviously, this process is based on factors like your ranking, so which order you've put things in, and the number of seats available at each school. So as it suggests there, and the number 4 thing is that the assignment process, once it's complete, once the computers have done their job, that is when each family receives a single best offer. In other words, the school that best matches the choices and based on the availability of seats. So today we're mostly going to be sticking to some pointers on how to make your list and how to apply online. There's lots more detail on how to apply online in a workshop this afternoon. So you're lucky. If you want some guidance on that, you can go to that workshop too. Next slide, please. Ooh. I think you've gone one further. Did you go too scut? There you go. So this is definitely one of the most frequent questions we get at parents of public schools. How to make the perfect list? Which school should I choose? And obviously, most important thing is that you're doing the thinking. Oops, I've just pulled my headphones out. Sorry. We encourage families to spend plenty of time thinking about this. It seems obvious to say, but you're more likely to be assigned to a school that's on your list. So the more schools that are on your list, the more likely you're going to get a school that you like. And although it seems a long way off for you if you're applying for kindergarten or transitional kindergarten, the process is a lot like choosing a college. So get ready and take this opportunity to do your research. Next slide, please. So we know that making your list of schools is all about what you and your family value, which schools match these values. And if you want to, you can start thinking about those right now. You can take some notes if you like, or just take some mental notes if you don't have a pen handy, but it's about what's important to your family. You might consider, as I mentioned earlier, the size of the school. It's a really important factor for you. You might investigate the school's unique programs, something that fits in with your child's interests. Or it might be the location of the school, how close it is to your home or workplace, how your family's schedule fits with school start times. Next slide, please. So as it says a bit more here, this is more food for thought when it comes to considering what unique characteristics and interests your children have. And they are all different. So it's definitely interesting to think about this. Think about whether a child might enjoy the language programs we have in the city. We've got immersion programs, we've got world language programs, all sorts of different options for you to explore. And again, another workshop for you to attend today. There are science and technology programs that might suit your child. At Willie Brown Middle School, for example, there's a real focus on STEM. And if your child is headed to high school, we urge you to speak about these topics to your high school. It's really, really important. And there are a huge array of career pathways that the SFUSD high schools offer: hands-on, project-based learning, everything from architecture, hospitality, game design, to fire science. So all of these are college prep courses. So if your family is thinking about college, please take time to explore these options. And obviously, if your child is interested in the arts, we've got this amazing resource at Ruth Asawa School of the Arts. If you're a high schooler or an upcoming high schooler and you want to investigate that, it's an incredible opportunity to do so there. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. So again, it may seem obvious to say when you're thinking about your list, but be realistic and manageable when you're thinking about the schedule. Obviously, there are many, many possible options for traveling across the city. But if you want to, if you think about managing a long commute to school every day, that may be more than your family can cope with all the way through the week. And there are obviously lots of benefits to having a school drop-off that's convenient to your home or your workplace. So Lauren is going to give you some more information about how you can use SFUSD resources to help you compare schools on your list using some of these criteria I've been talking about. Next is a slide I should have expanded, sorry. So this is a bit of it's just a warning really, because we like to use shortcuts. We like to get the answer straight away from some numbers, some of us do at least. And we certainly at Parents for Public Schools, do not encourage you to use test scores as the only way to judge a school. As it says here on this slide, they're often an indication of where the student's been before they get to school, rather than a measure of how much that school has done for that student. So that student might have started at point A and figure out where they've got to at point B, but you don't know that through test scores. So it's important to keep that in mind, a grain of salt to when you're looking at test scores. I often tell parents in workshops I do for parents for public schools that many students may not have gone to preschool before they start kindergarten, or may have had some education in another country. So it's important to recognize that when you're looking at the test scores of different schools. And as it says there, it just definitely doesn't reflect the education that your child has. And as I often also tell parents, you are the child's first educator, the most important one, and the biggest influence on their future success. It's your impact, your involvement, your engagement in their education that will make the most difference. Next slide, please. Okay, so on to lists. The best list, I love that. The best list is, as it suggests there, the many schools. So we want you to list all the schools you think that will work for your child, your family. And as I said, list them in order of preference. So your favorite at the top, please. And your attendance area school, which is something you can explore through the SFUSD Finder tool. You can find out what your attendance area school is. It's one of the tiebreakers in the assignment process, which Lauren's going to talk about. So make sure you list that. Doesn't have to be top, but it's definitely important to list it somewhere. And balance your list, please. I think this is referring to what I was talking about earlier. If you only list schools that have lots and lots of people who want to go there, that you might want to call popular, they're not necessarily the best schools, but there are definitely schools that have more requests per seat, then your chances of getting something on a list is lower. So make sure that you have a mixture of schools. Think about schools that are in your neighborhood, as well as the ones your friends have told you about. Do your research. Thank you. And some of the things that PPS and also counsellors at EBC hear often that are not true is that listing just one school will not increase your chances. So please list all the schools that you think will work for your family. We want you to, as it says, list your schools in order of preference. It does make a difference in the way that the computer looks at your application. And if you don't get a school in round one, please go for round two. It will make a difference if you go for round two. It won't confer an advantage, as it suggests there. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, I think is that the end of me?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you very much, and good luck with the rest of the slides.
Great. So thank you so much, Kate, for introducing tips for how to make your list. SFUSD has created some resources for families as you are trying to create the best list for your family. I'm going to talk in depth about two of them, the enrollment guide and the school finder. You can find links here to those two resources, sfusd.edu/guide and sfusd.edu/schoolfinder. Somebody from my team, if you could drop those into the chat, please, so that parents can grab them and take a look. All right, so the enrollment guide is a paper book. It is also an online PDF. It's available in English, Spanish, Chinese, and all of the other languages that the district does translation into. And the book is very useful because on the book, you can look at a map of the schools. You can find where your home is and look at the schools that are close by. You can look at a table that compares all of the schools based on language programs, bus service, uniforms, and other things that are interesting to you. And you can also look at in-depth descriptions of each school. So there it talks about their academics, their enrichment opportunities, and it has contact information and the address of each school so that you can find out more. A resource that I personally recommend to families a lot is the School Finder. You can find it at sfusd.edu/schoolfinder. And the way that this tool works is that you enter your child's grade that they're going to and your home address, and it will list the schools in distance order from your home. And so then you can select other programs. So you can select special education programs, you can select language programs, you can see if the school has a before or after school program. And so by clicking different things at the top, you're able to sort the schools further. And so here I've selected Spanish for language programs. And so I'm seeing the 22 schools that have kindergarten Spanish language programs. Another feature that you can see listed on the first school here, so the school that's closest to my house has a yellow box that says that this is my attendance area school. You have a tiebreaker or a preference in the lottery at your attendance area school. So we ask all of our families to make sure that they list their attendance area school so that they can have that preference in the system. You can see all of the other schools here, and while you can't see it on the slide, if you scroll down, you can see every detail about language programs, special education programs, arts and enrichment, and before and after school programs on this site. We have also linked the school videos here so that you can check out each school's 3-minute promotional video. We've already talked about the attendance area school. You can share the list of schools that you create here using your filters. So what you'll do is you'll filter for the schools at the top, and then when you have the list that you want to share, you can copy the URL, and by emailing or texting that link to anybody, they'll be able to see the same list of schools that you see. So perhaps you're working with your high school child on creating a list. You might want to send them the list that you create, and then they can send you back the list that they create and you can share. Kate also mentioned creating a balanced list of schools. And so the admission likelihood, or the percent of students who are admitted from all of the applications received for general education for each school, are also listed here. So you can take a look at that. We'll talk a tiny bit later about other places to look at those statistics. All right, so the right information is what the enrollment fair is all about. We want you to use this opportunity to get the information that you need. So I want you, as we're talking through the rest of the presentation, to take a few minutes to gather your thoughts about how you usually get information, how you want to use the resources we've shared, and create a plan for yourself to get all of the information you need about schools this year. And then before we move on to talking about how to apply online, I want everyone to mark this date in your calendar, February 4th, 2022. That is when the main round applications are due, and it's so important to apply by this date. I know that the SFUSD process is confusing, and sometimes we're not clear about why you need to apply by the main round deadline. Applying by this date gives you your best chance of getting a school that you rank highly as you're making your list. In the main round, we assign students to most seats in most schools. So you have a much smaller chance of being able to get a seat at one of your preferred schools if you apply after February 4th. So I'm going to give you just a second to go ahead and mark your calendar. You can add it to your phone calendar, you can circle it, the date, in your paper calendar, but go ahead and do that now so that we don't forget this important day. Great. Now we will talk a little bit about the next step, submitting your application. After you've explored your options and created the best list of schools for your family, be sure to submit your application as soon as you're ready. The application process is online this year. It's a very convenient and reliable way to submit your choices, and we encourage all of our families to submit the application online. We know that the online application is a relatively new process, so we're really focused on making sure that families have online guides and how-to videos, phone, email, and in-person support from our great team of enrollment counselors, and paper options if you happen to need them. If you need help selecting schools, understanding the process, or getting the application, we're here to help you. So just reach out. I'll show you our phone numbers and our locations at the end of this meeting. To get started with the online application, go to sfusd.edu/apply for a step-by-step guide on how to begin your application. Then, after you've created your list of schools, you can head to portal.sfusd.edu and log in using your Parent View account and start to submit your application. If you don't have a Parent View account, the yellow button here that says Activate is the place where you can click to create a new account. It takes just 2 minutes. If you need to revise or change your application, you can always resubmit your application, or you can contact the EPC by phone or email or by visiting us for help, and we'll be able to help you change your choices if you decide a different order would be better. At 2 p.m. today, our friends from the Department of Technology will join us to have a much more detailed workshop on how to apply online. So please join that workshop at 2 p.m. to get more details. We know that many families would prefer a paper or PDF application, that this is simpler for them than the online application. If you feel like a paper application would be a better fit for your family, you can go to sfusd.edu/enroll, click the little triangle next to the word resources on the homepage, and then click the first link, which is online applications and forms. Here you will find a PDF, which you can fill in on your personal computer and email back to us, or which you can print and fill in as a sheet of paper. You can also get paper applications at the EPC, the Educational Placement Center, or any of the schools in our district. So once you have your paper or PDF application, there's 3 ways to submit it. You can submit it in person at your child's current SFUSD school, or you can submit the application and all of your required documents to the EPC at 555 Franklin Street, room 100, or 1520 Oakdale. The Franklin Street address is in Civic Center, and the Oakdale address is in the Bayview. You can also take a picture of your paper application and your documents and email them to us at enrollinschool@sfusd.edu. You only need to do one of these things. So if you do the online application, you don't need to do one of these paper application steps. All right, now that you've submitted your application, I know that a lot of families wonder about what happens next. The student assignment system is how we match student requests to schools. We'll watch a quick video to explain how this works. And for more information, you're welcome to look at our website or call our team and we can walk you through it. So now I'm going to play a quick, 2-minute video about how the assignment process works.
There's no sound, Lauren.
Lauren, there's no sound.
Okay, sorry. So
You started over, please.
Yeah, if there's no sound, Susan, are you able to play this from our website so that there is sound? I don't think that my settings are set up to play it.
Yes. Hold on, let me find the link.
Thank you. I actually think that in the interest of time, we should probably go ahead and we'll put the link to this video in the chat so that families can watch it. It's also prominently displayed on the website that we've looked at a bunch of times. Okay, So I know that there's a question about tiebreakers and the preferences that families get in the lottery. So they're different for different grade levels. They differ for TK, kindergarten, middle school, and high school. So for TK and K, your attendance area is an important feature here, actually for kindergarten. So living in the attendance area of a school gives you a preference there in elementary school. For middle schools, we have a feeder school system where different elementary schools are linked to a specific middle school, and that middle school is your feeder school where you'll get a preference. Across grade levels, we have two preferences: the sibling preference, where if you have an older student already attending that school, you have a preference for a younger student that would join them, and CTIP. This is for students in low test score areas to have preference at schools across the district. So a quick note about some useful data. When you're creating a balanced list of schools, there's some information that can be helpful. The number of requests per seat can tell you how in demand a school is. Listing only schools that are in high demand puts you in pools with lots of other students. So you might have a smaller chance of getting one of the schools on your list. As Kate noted, there's great options all over the district, but the wider the net of schools that you put on your list, the better the chance that you get a school that's there. All right, so you've explored your schools, created your list, and applied online well before February 4th. After our team applies all the tiebreakers and assigns each student to a school, we notify families. You'll get the single best offer that combines your list of preferences with the spaces available at seats in the district. This year, families will be notified the week of March 21st, 2022 by both mail and parent view. Once families receive an offer, you can accept or decline that offer. We strongly urge all families who plan to attend an SFUSD school to accept the enrollment offer when we send it to you. The deadline to accept it is April 8th, 2022. If you'd like to apply for a different school after you receive your initial offer, there are other rounds of the enrollment process, and they'll be described in the letter that we send to you when we send you your assignment. You're welcome to apply to those. We'll have more workshops on them in the future so you can learn more about the process. All right, and then if you need more help, we're here to help you. Parents for Public Schools, who Kate works with, are always available. You can find their contact information at ppssf.org. And the EPC, the Educational Placement Center, is also here to support you. You can visit us in person at 555 Franklin Street in Civic Center or at 1520 Oakdale Street in the Bayview. You can email us at enrollmentschool@sfusd.edu, and you can always call us at 415-241-6085. That's all the information that we have today. We would love to open this up for questions. What questions do parents have? You can either raise your hand and somebody will unmute you, or type your question into the Q&A or into the chat.
Well, can I add something?
Yes.
One thing is, you mentioned the deadline, and obviously we want everyone to hit that deadline and don't apply after that date of February 4th. But we often tell parents to give yourself plenty of time. It may take longer for you to gather all those documents together that you need for your application first time round. So be aware of the fact that you need to find a proof of your child's birth date and a photo ID and a proof of address. So there's lots of help online on the SFUSD pages to help you do that. But also, not only the amount of time it takes to gather yourself, but also it's great to get your application reviewed by the district, and they'll email you to tell you that they have reviewed it and everything's okay. And that's really reassuring, actually. I feel that way, certainly myself, when I applied for high schools this year. Was having a notification from the district that my application form that I did twice was safely received. Because like Lauren said, my child changed her mind and we needed to go back in and do another application. So it's perfectly normal.
Yeah. Marisol, I see you have your hand up and I think you're unmuted if you'd like to ask your question.
Yeah, hi. My son is currently in an inclusion class, pre-K class, and I was just curious how that would work for when he goes into kindergarten.
Great question. If you come to the Educational Placement Center, one of our special education counselors can help you look at all of the different special education programs, but your child will be in an assignment process for the special education programs appropriate to his needs. So we'll look through your IEP and then we'll help you choose the right programs for your kiddo.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, James, I see that you have your hand up. You should be unmuted if you'd like to talk. We can't hear you.
I'm sorry, there's one person in Spanish. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Hi, Lauren, can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead, James, and then Luis will come back to you.
Thank you, Lauren. I have a quick question regarding placement for high school students. I noticed that there is a preference for elementary students for a specific geography, middle school students for, I think it was called an assignment area, but it didn't seem that those two categories were applicable for high schools. Is that correct?
That's correct. There is no geographical preference for a high school. That's because all of the high schools have sort of different career and technical programs, and we want kiddos to be able to choose the career and technical programs that are the best fit for them.
And no feeder school prioritization either?
No feeder schools for high school.
Thank you for your time.
Yep, great question. Thank you.
Hi, this is the Spanish interpreter. There is a question in Spanish in the chat. The question is, when can we start applying and submitting the application for next school year?
Great question. Thank you so much, Eugenio, for asking that one. The online application is now, so families can go ahead and apply online today. Paper applications are also available at the EPC office at 555 Franklin Street and posted on our website. Schools should have access to paper applications starting next week. They're in the mail to the schools. So parents are welcome to start applying right now.
But I would say, obviously, it's the enrollment fair. You've got the chance to meet principals. You've got a chance to look at the videos. It's all there on the enrollment fair website. Check out the schedule, find out when your target schools, the ones that you're interested in, are having school information sessions. And please do go along. They're so interesting. I've had such an exciting and different time than I was expecting attending those last year, and you'd be surprised. So don't go directly to the application if you haven't investigated lots of different schools.
Great point. Thanks, Kate. Myvan, go ahead. Would you like to talk? I think you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Thank you. My son need to take the test when he go apply for the high school.
Great question. So none of our high schools have a test this year. The only high school that has a different process is the School of the Arts. School of the Arts, your student will need to submit a portfolio, I think, and that supplement to the application is due December 17th. But there is no testing process this year for any of our high schools. All righty, Adrian, I think I see you have your hand up. Would you like to go ahead?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
So my question is that my child is in the grade 5 right now. If I don't do any going through the application process, is he going to be 100% guaranteed to get into the auto feed, which is APG?
No, that's a great question. No, your child is not 100% guaranteed to get into their feeder middle school. So you must apply and list your feeder middle school. for you to have a shot at that school. We will assign kiddos who don't apply at all from 5th grade to a school, but those will be schools that have fewer applications than spots available. And so if you want to get into your feeder school, you need to do the application and list your feeder school there.
Thank you.
Great question.
Lauren, can I interject? I'm seeing a lot of questions about the seats per applicant data on our website, and I'm not sure. I'm having a hard time interpreting it, so I'm sure everybody else is as well. Can you explain it at all?
Yeah, of course. So when you see, I think that the requests per seat might be the most useful piece of information that's in the student assignment data. You can take a look at last year's. But if there are 6 requests for every seat, then there's a 6% or a 16% chance of being accepted to that school for those requests per seat. It's sort of the reverse of requests per seat as a percentage.
Okay, can you give another example? If it says 100%, it means
right. So
there were enough seats for every applicant.
That's right. So if it says 100%, that means that perhaps there was 40 seats and there was 39 applicants. So all of those applicants were able to have a seat at that school.
Thank you,
So
Lauren.
you could call it chance of getting in, I suppose.
Yes, exactly. Great question. Any other questions, Alana, that are coming up in the chat or the Q&A that we should cover?
So far that was the only one that was stumping me, but there's quite a few open right now, so I'm trying to get to them.
All right, if you'd like to read some off, we can answer them out loud too.
Let's see, zoning preference for high school. Someone already just asked that. Someone's trying to use the attendance area. Let me go through it, see if I see any common ones.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
This is Laura, Cantonese interpreter, and there's a question in the chat. Okay, let me take a look at the question. Okay, the question is, I have 2 children, and my oldest daughter is in kindergarten, and my younger son is in pre-K. Can I use just I'm sorry. My younger son is in TK. Can I use just same Prevent View to apply for both?
Yes, this is an excellent question, Laura, and thank you to the parent who asked it. Yes, you can use your same Parent View account to apply for both children. You should be able to see all of the children that are currently in SFUSD on your Parent View account. And in that account, you'll be able to add additional students. So if, for example, you had a kid who is in kindergarten who's going to 1st grade, and you want to add another child who's applying to kindergarten for the first time, you just need to look at your one existing parent account. You don't need to create a new one. All right, we have time for about 2 more questions before we close. So Jay Bork, would you like to go ahead?
Spanish interpreter. There is a question in Spanish in the chat room. The question is the following. If my child wants to apply to a secondary school, does he need to take an entrance exam?
Great question. No, there are no entrance exams for any of our high schools this year. The only high school that has a slightly different process is the School of the Arts, and you'll need to follow the process on their website. Their supplement is due December 17th. Go ahead, Jay Bork.
Oh, yes, thank you. I just wanted to say, I noticed that our preferred school is the only school in our attendance area map. I just kind of looked it up. So I just wanted to see what you said about, just if that's our priority, we should still list the rest of them, but I guess we should favor that attendance school area.
Yeah, you should put the attendance. We recommend that everybody adds their attendance area school to their list because it is usually one that is closest to your home. You are only in the attendance area of one school. You don't need to put it first. You should put it where it fits in your preference order.
Thank you.
Of course, of course. All right, so last question.
Lori?
Yep, go ahead.
This is Laura again, and there's Cantonese question. And the question is, if I want to apply for high school, how many high school I can apply? And also, is it any charges for to apply high school?
No, there is no cost to applying for schools, and you can list as many schools as you like. I believe that we have 14 comprehensive high schools, so your list can include 14 schools. Great question.
And I will add a supplement to that, is that each high school has slightly different career pathways, and a couple of them don't have any pathways. So do make sure when you're listing your high schools, you have checked out which pathways are available at which high schools, because if you don't go to that high school, you can't do that pathway. So it's really important that you talk to your teenager and figure out what is the right list.
Yeah, so we need to close now so that our next session at 11 a.m. can start on time. But I have presented here the contact information for both Parents for Public Schools and the Educational Placement Center. We'll drop it in the chat before we leave today, but you can email us at enrollinschool@sfusd.edu, or you can call our office Monday to Friday from 8 to 5, 415-241-6085. You can also visit us in person at our office in Civic Center on Franklin Street or in the Bayview on Oakdale Street. Thank you so much for attending today. Please come to the rest of the workshops during the day. We're so excited to work with your child and your family to make sure that you're assigned to a school for next year. Thank you, and we'll see you later on today.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Can I add something? We've got about 14 questions still open in the question and answer section. If you want to get those answers outside of the session, you can email enrollinschool@sfusd.edu. I'm sorry, I couldn't get to all of them.
Thanks, Alana, I appreciate you. We'll also post the Q&A session so that we'll answer all the questions and post them online. Thank you guys. Take care. Bye.